Have you ever tried to get up from the floor, only to realize it's a lot harder than it used to be? Maybe you had to grab a chair, or push off with both hands, or even call someone to help you up. If that sounds familiar, I want you to listen very carefully, because what I'm about to share might just save your life. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. There's a simple movement, something we all used to do without thinking, that research shows can predict your risk of dying within the next few years. And no, it's not running a marathon, climbing a mountain, or lifting heavy weights. It's something far more basic, something you could test right now in your living room. But here's the thing, if you struggle with it, the good news is you can improve, and in doing so, you can dramatically increase your chances of living longer, healthier, and more independently. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're 30 years old again. You drop something on the floor, maybe a pen, maybe a set of keys. You squat down, pick it up, and stand right back up. No problem. Fast forward to your 60s or 70s, and that same movement suddenly feels different. Your knees ache, your back feels stiff, your balance feels shaky. That change doesn't just happen because you've gotten older. It's a sign that your body, and your muscles, joints, and nervous system may be losing a critical skill, functional mobility. This is where the sit-to-stand test comes in. You might have heard of it. The idea is simple. From a standing position, lower yourself to sit cross-legged on the floor, and then get back up, without using your hands or knees for support. That's it. Sounds easy, right? Well, here's the kicker. People who can't do it, or who need to use a lot of support to do it, are statistically more likely to die within the next 5 years. Not because the test itself is magical, but because it reflects the overall strength, balance, flexibility, and coordination of your body. These are the foundations of independence. When they go, your risk of falls, injuries, and serious health problems skyrockets. Now, before you panic, I'm not saying that if you can't do this today, you're doomed. What I'm saying is that this is a wake-up call, a way to check in with your body and see where you're at. If the test is hard for you, it's telling you that now is the time to rebuild those skills, before it's too late. Think of it like catching a leak in your roof while it's still small. You can fix it now and avoid disaster later. So, how do we rebuild that strength and mobility? Well, first, you need to understand what makes the sit-to-stand movement possible in the first place. It's a combination of lower body strength, especially in your thighs, hips, and glutes, core stability to keep you from tipping over, and flexibility in your hips and ankles to allow your body to move smoothly. If even one of those areas is weak, the movement becomes harder. One of the easiest ways to start is with something you probably already do every day, getting up from a chair. But instead of using your hands, try standing up using only your legs. It might feel wobbly at first, but that's okay. Over time, this strengthens your thighs and hips, the very muscles you need to get off the floor. And here's a tip, the slower you go, the more your muscles have to work, and the stronger you'll get. Balance plays a huge role here, too. If you've ever stood on one leg and felt like you were going to topple over, you know what I mean. Your ability to balance affects how confidently you can stand up without support. Try this, hold onto the back of a chair for safety, lift one foot off the ground, and see how long you can balance. Work up to 30 seconds per leg. Not only will this help with the sit-to-stand test, but it will also make everyday movements, like stepping over a curb or climbing stairs, much safer. Flexibility often gets overlooked, but it's just as important. Tight hips or stiff ankles can make it nearly impossible to sit cross-legged or rise without tipping forward. Simple stretches can make a world of difference. For example, sitting in a chair and gently pulling one knee toward your chest helps loosen your hips. Rolling your ankles in slow circles keeps those joints mobile and ready for action. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but my knees are bad, or I've got arthritis, so this doesn't apply to me. Trust me, it does. You don't have to move like a gymnast to pass this test. You just need to train your body to be strong and steady enough to handle your own weight. And the beauty is, you can improve at any age. I've seen people in their late 70s go from barely being able to get out of a chair without help to sitting on the floor and standing back up with a smile on their face. The key is consistency. Doing a few minutes of focused practice each day adds up. And every time you work on these movements, you're not just improving your ability to get off the floor, you're lowering your risk of falls, fractures, and the chain of health problems that can follow. In other words, you're buying yourself more time, more independence, and more of the life you want to live. And here's something else to think about. This isn't just about living longer. It's about living better. Being able to move freely means you can play with your grandkids on the floor, garden without worrying how you'll get back up, travel without dreading the airport security line, and keep doing the hobbies you love without fear of injury. That's real quality of life. So, if you test yourself today and realize you need some work, don't see it as bad news. See it as an opportunity. Your body is telling you exactly where to focus your energy. And the sooner you start, the faster you'll see progress. Watching and feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. Once you start thinking about it, you realize just how much of daily life depends on this kind of functional movement. Picking something up, reaching for a low shelf, kneeling to tie a shoe, even bending down to pet a dog, these little actions are like quiet tests your body is giving you every day. When they become hard or painful, it's a signal that your strength, mobility, and balance are slipping away. The good news is, you can rebuild them faster than you might think. One powerful way to do this is by retraining your body to work as a whole, not just in pieces. Most people, especially as they age, start to isolate movements without realizing it. They bend only at the waist instead of using their hips, or they push themselves up with their arms instead of their legs. Over time, these shortcuts rob the muscles and joints of the work they're supposed to be doing. The sit-to-stand movement, and all the variations we're going to practice, force those systems to work together again. I like to start with what I call the halfway floor rise. You don't have to go all the way down yet. Instead, you find a sturdy coffee table or a low bench, sit down without using your hands, then stand back up the same way. This lets you practice the movement in a safer, easier range of motion while still challenging your strength and balance. Once you feel confident there, you gradually work toward lower and lower surfaces until the floor isn't intimidating anymore. As you work on this, don't forget about your breathing. It might sound strange, but how you breathe can make or break your ability to move smoothly. Holding your breath while you stand up makes you tense, and tension throws off your balance. Instead, breathe out as you push up. It not only steadies you but also engages your core muscles naturally, giving you more stability. Speaking of stability, your core is the silent hero of this whole process. And when I say core, I don't just mean your abs, I mean the deep muscles that wrap around your middle like a natural weight belt, supporting your spine and helping you stay upright. Without a strong core, your legs can be powerful but you'll still wobble like a tower missing its base. The best part? You don't have to do endless sit-ups to strengthen it. Even something as simple as sitting on the edge of a chair, lifting one foot a few inches off the floor, and holding that position for 10 seconds works your core in a very practical way. Do it a few times on each side, and you'll feel those muscles waking up. Flexibility is the next piece of the puzzle, and it's often the most underestimated. I've seen people double their sit-to-stand ability in just weeks by focusing on stretching tight hips and ankles. A simple stretch like sitting on the floor with one leg out in front and the other bent can loosen your hips, making it easier to sit cross-legged and stand again. And if getting to the floor for stretches is tough right now, you can do modified versions in a chair. The point is to keep your joints moving through their full range, so they don't stiffen up and make everything harder. Now let's talk about something most people don't connect to movement at all, the health of your nervous system. Every time you shift your weight, step over something, or rise from sitting, your brain is sending lightning-fast signals to your muscles telling them what to do. As we age, those signals can slow down, which is why reaction time gets worse and we become more prone to stumbling. You can train this just like you train your muscles. Practice stepping to the side quickly when you hear a clap or see a hand signal. Play simple balance games that make you shift direction without warning. It might feel a little silly, but it sharpens the connection between your brain and your body, and that can mean the difference between catching yourself in time or ending up on the floor. I remember working with a man named Robert, who had pretty much given up on bending down at all because it felt too risky. We started with just the halfway floor rise, added some gentle hip stretches, and spent a few minutes each session on quick reaction drills, stepping sideways, turning, and sitting back down in a chair without using his hands. In 3 months, not only could he get down and back up from the floor, he told me he felt 10 years younger because he no longer avoided doing things out of fear. That's the power of regaining functional mobility. It's not about looking athletic or impressing anyone. It's about feeling in control of your own body again. Because once you feel that control returning, you stop living cautiously and you start living actively. You go for longer walks, you get on the floor with your grandkids, you take on little home projects again, and all of those things keep you healthier, both physically and mentally. And here's a truth that's hard to ignore: avoiding these movements doesn't keep you safe. It makes you weaker. The less you practice getting down low, the harder it becomes, and the harder it becomes, the more likely you are to avoid it. That's the downward spiral we want to break, and the sooner the better. The beauty is, you don't need fancy equipment or a gym membership to turn this around. You just need your body, a safe space, and a commitment to work on it a little bit every day. Even 2 minutes here and there add up over weeks and months. What feels impossible today can feel almost effortless in half a year, and I've seen it happen countless times. Your body is remarkably adaptable. It will respond to whatever you consistently ask it to do. If you ask it to sit for hours and avoid bending or kneeling, it will get better at sitting and worse at moving. If you ask it to squat, balance, and rise, it will get better at those things, even if you haven't done them in decades. That's the gift of human movement. And the deeper you get into this process, the more you'll notice unexpected benefits. Your posture improves because your core is stronger. Your back hurts less because your hips are more flexible. You feel more confident on stairs, in the shower, walking outside, all because your body's foundation is solid again. It's not just about passing a test. It's about restoring the freedom to move without hesitation. One thing we haven't talked about yet, but is just as important as strength, balance, and flexibility, is the role your senses play in keeping you upright and moving safely. Your vision, your inner ear, and even the tiny sensors in your skin and joints all work together to tell your brain where you are in space. If any of those systems start to fade, your risk of losing your balance skyrockets. That's why it's not just about training your muscles, it's about keeping those sensory systems sharp. A simple way to challenge and improve this is to change what your body relies on for balance. For example, try standing on one leg while gently turning your head side to side, or close your eyes while holding onto a counter for support. You'll notice it feels harder right away. That's because your body has to use other systems besides sight to keep you steady. Little drills like this keep your brain and body working as a team, and that teamwork is what will save you when you trip over a rug or step onto uneven ground. Another overlooked factor is how connected you feel to the ground you're standing on. Years of wearing stiff, cushioned shoes can dull the natural feedback from the soles of your feet. When that feedback is gone, your brain gets less information about where you are, and balance suffers. If it's safe, try spending a few minutes each day barefoot on a smooth surface at home. Feel the floor under you. Notice how your weight shifts when you sway or turn. It might sound small, but it reawakens the muscles and nerves in your feet, giving your brain a clearer picture of how to control your movements. Nutrition is part of this conversation too. Weakness and instability aren't always about age, sometimes they're about missing building blocks. Your muscles need protein to stay strong, your bones need calcium and vitamin D to stay dense, and your nervous system needs healthy fats and micronutrients to send signals efficiently. I've worked with people who thought their mobility was just age catching up when really they weren't getting enough of the nutrients their body needed to function well. Within weeks of improving their diet, their energy, strength, and confidence shot up. Hydration plays a role here as well. Even mild dehydration can make you feel dizzy or slow your reflexes, which is the last thing you want when you're moving from sitting to standing or lowering yourself to the floor. Make it a habit to sip water throughout the day, and if you've been sweating or active, replace your electrolytes, too. It's a simple step that can make a surprising difference in your stability. But maybe the most powerful shift of all is in your mindset. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, "I'm just too old for that now." That belief is like a heavy chain holding them down, because once you've decided something is impossible, your body follows your mind's lead. The truth is, your body is far more capable than you think, even if you haven't tested it in years. The human body is built to adapt at any age, and it will surprise you if you give it the chance. I've seen 70-year-olds regain the ability to hike trails, garden for hours, or even get up from the floor with no hands, all because they refused to accept decline as inevitable. The difference wasn't that they had special genetics or years of training. The difference was that they kept showing up for themselves, doing a little bit each day, and believing it would add up. And it always does. If the sit-to-stand test or getting off the floor feels impossible for you right now, that's not a death sentence. It's a starting point. It's simply your body telling you where you are today, and with the right practice, you can change that picture entirely. Start with higher surfaces, practice every day, build your core and flexibility, challenge your balance, and nourish your body. Each small improvement you make is a brick in the foundation of your independence. And let's not forget, the benefits go far beyond the physical. When you feel strong and mobile, you feel more confident. That confidence ripples into every part of your life. You're more likely to say yes to social invitations, to travel, to play with grandkids, to take on projects you've been putting off. You live more fully because you're not held back by the constant worry of what if I fall or what if I can't get back up. The bottom line is this: the ability to rise from the floor or stand from a seated position without help is more than just a neat trick. It's a direct reflection of your strength, your coordination, and your resilience. Studies have shown that people who can do it with ease tend to live longer, healthier lives. And that's not magic, it's simply because those abilities keep you active, independent, and engaged with the world. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this: don't wait until you've lost a movement to start working on it. Start today. Start small if you have to. Every time you practice, you're not just training your muscles, you're buying yourself more years of independence, more adventures, and more moments worth remembering. You have the power to change your trajectory at any age. Your body wants to move, it wants to get stronger, and it will respond if you give it the chance. So let's give it that chance, not just for the next 5 years, but for every year we're lucky enough to live. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone you care about. Help them see that aging doesn't have to mean giving up, it can mean getting better in ways that truly matter. And if you're ready to keep learning how to stay strong, balanced, and active, make sure you subscribe and join me here. We're in this together, and the journey is just getting started. Here's to living not just longer, but better, with strength, freedom, and the confidence to do all the things that make life worth living.